It's a concept that I'm still working on. I call it fathering thyself. And the reason why I call it that is because the majority of the children within the black community are in single parent households. And these households are ran mostly by women. So that masculine figure that's needed for development is absent. So as a black boy or a black girl, specifically a black boy, you're really just searching for you innately want that guidance, that discipline, something that can really say, okay, at 15, this is where this stops. Like the Spartans, for an example. Once you reach 9, you go out there, you kill a wolf, you kill a lion, either you come back or you don't come back. And that's what has to happen. And I think the reason why a lot of black men are in these spaces now that we've created for ourselves is because that ritual from boy to man no longer exists. It's not something that exists in the modern age, but what does exist is this teenage phenomena, right? But in our hunter-gatherers days, during the teenage phenomena, if you would call it that back then, you were learning how to be a part of the tribe. You were learning what your role is within being in this tribe. Either you were a part of the men that hunted, either you build the houses, you did something to integrate that masculinity. And as we discussed earlier this week, it's a lack of masculinity that it's the missing piece within society today. And masculinity within itself isn't bad innately. It's not meant for that. It's guidance, it's direction, it's stoicism, it's wisdom. It's healthy. It's necessary, as Jordan Peterson says. It's necessary because without, there's so many men that look to him, and every time he meets someone, he cries and they cry because the same thing that they felt that was missing within themselves, he provided that for them, right? And going back to what you were saying about being in the word and walking right and practicing or doing your best to be righteous, that's a journey within itself as well. It is something that requires a lot of intention and attention. And what they don't tell you about being an adult is that you have to be the disciplinarian and you have to be graceful at the same time. But as a man, we've been conditioned to think, okay, you can't stop. You got to keep going and going and going and going and going. But just like how you said, some of these things have to go. Not everything, but if it's something that you know that's slowing you down, that's hindering you, you have to cut it off at the neck, because in the long run, when somebody really needs you, how can they depend on you when you're still stuck at level 7 or whatever? And I
Yeah.
think that that's due to a fear of what does that really look like? What does the other side of that look like? Because we haven't really had an accurate representation of what it's like to walk in righteousness outside of Christ the Most High. And we already know man is flawed naturally. You see what I'm saying? So where do we find that happy medium?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, that's a good question. Um, I mean, to go to your earlier point about um the fatherless society, man. I mean, I just was talking about that. That's very clearly a big deal within the Black community specifically, but it's becoming a big deal within a lot of many other demographics as well. And just the simple lack of masculinity and the lack of respect for masculinity in our society has gone
Indeed.
completely out of pocket. It's completely out of pocket at this point. I didn't grow up with my father in the home. I had a few father figures, and that's where I say personally, people like Dr. Peterson, people like Jonathan Pajot, people like uh, Bishop Barron, um, amongst others, B. Mike from Tucson, um, and a couple of teachers I've had. They played a father role in which you're watching a man manifest in the world and be a person in the world, and then you're kind of extracting out the ideal of the best principles from each individual that you're watching, you know, and and then it kind of forms you into a better person. But what I've learned recently is, especially in my walk with the Most High, with my walk with Christ, is that they call God the Heavenly Father for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's your Heavenly Father. He has the attributes. The attributes of God are that of a father figure. You know what I mean? He's trying to get you to be more like his son. He's trying to get you to be more like Yahshua. He's trying to make you more like Christ. He's going to continuously, if you accept him and you choose to follow him, then he's going to continuously try to shape you more and more into his son by chastising you when you make wrong decisions, when you fall into temptation, when you sin, and it's going to manifest itself in a weird synchronicity around you. I've been dealing with that a lot lately now. Oh, and he disciplines, and he's going to let you also, what's a very fatherly trait about the Heavenly Father is he will let you go out there and break your leg. Like he'll let you do what you want, and then, but he's always there, and he always loves you, but he's kind of just waiting, letting you, oh, that's what you want to do? Go see what it's about. Go test the water. Go see, oh, you want to mess with her? All right, go see what's up. I told you don't do it. You want to go see what it's about. Oh, you didn't told you? Yeah, I know. It's all good. Come over here. You know what I mean?
Come back over here. I got something for you.
Told you. Oh, you about to mess up again? Go try it. You know, so and that's a very fatherly trait, you know, and I feel that's conversations like this, it's happening, yo. It's happening right now. We're having these conversations. It's like people are recognizing it, and people are choosing to answer the call of becoming more in men in general are answering the call that they need to straighten themselves out and become men. And society has gotten so that once the seesaw teeters too far to the left, it becomes noticeable.
Yeah, of course, definitely. Like history repeats itself.
Yeah, it becomes noticeable. You know, at first it seemed like it was like a benevolent evolution of human behavior in which there's just, you know what I mean, and there's no masculine qualities. You know what I mean? But that it's being repressed because, you know, because of history and everything that's happened, you know, it's being repressed. But once it teeters too far to the right, it becomes noticeable, and then people become willing to answer the call to do that, you know, and step up to the plate with that. So.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head with that one. It's like we can clearly see that it's too much in one direction, and not only is it too much in one direction, it's so much in that direction that at that point they're just trying to eradicate that side completely, and that's just not how things work. You won't be able to get to, and you see it in podcasts, you see it in people having different conversations, you see it in what is shown mostly on social media. And at this point, you're just looking and you're like, man, whoever's writing the script, I'm gonna need you to do better, because right now this ain't it. Ain't it. It's not aiding society in the way that it needs. So I also think that technology is a part of that as well. But it just seems like a man being in his natural essence is now it's wrong. It's automatically wrong. That doesn't make sense to me. And just listening to some of the things that men and women say as it pertains to masculinity, I'm like,
yeah.
like, where did y'all get this from?